Hello to all respected professors, doctors, teachers, colleagues, and my friends. Let me start with a brief introduction of myself. I'm an educator teaching in the Chinese National Primary School. The main reason for me to conduct this investigation is to uncover the music preference of my student. Today I'm going to present you the music preferences in primary school. You can see here, I'm studying about Generation Alpha, which is the current cohort of students in primary school. Let me start with introduction. Students attending primary school and preschoolers are currently the youngest generation, also called Generation Alpha. Students of this cohort have been exposed to various media through smart devices daily. They have smartphone, iPad, tablets, they have YouTube, they have all the multimedia surrounding them. Generation Alpha has diverse tastes of music preference and listening to a selection of genres of songs, mainly due to the rise of short form of video contents. They like a simple short music instead of those we listen in the old days. The current study examined the current music preferences of primary year 1 to year 6 students and the way they engage with music. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the use of technology. This cohort of students was exposed to social media when the Ministry of Education implemented the home-based learning and teaching during the pandemics and the lockdown in 2020 and 2021. The sign of resilience have been shown after the student returned to physical schooling. This study aims to identify the musical preference of year 4 to year 6 pupils in a national school after pandemic. A sampling was employed throughout students from year 4 to year 6 in a school. Surveys were conducted based on the STOMPR, the instrument to test musical preference, and the results were analyzed with SPSS to present the findings of this study. The main musical genre preference listed were jazz, traditional, country, world music, pop, rock, blues, and classical. Musical preference for students is presented in subgroup. The suggested outcome provides insight for content development, such as designing the textbook, designing teaching modules, planning for the teaching contents, and teaching materials. You can see in this research, we are focusing on Generation Alpha, which is the primary age, from the newborn until the pupils of year 6, which is 12 years old in 2020. Secondly, engagement with music, how they engage with music through different types of listenings and their preference. Third, identify music preference for upper primary students. The background of the study. Profile for music preference has been widely adopted in various disciplines. For instance, Spotify, the apps that has a recommended system based on the musical preferences that a user listens to. Anderson, 2021, on his article titled Just the Way You Are, Liking Music Listening on Spotify and Personality, reported that musical preferences and personality is indeed important and warrants continued rigorous investigation. In psychology, music preferences has been studied extensively to investigate the correlation between personality and the music that they like to listen, or the music that they prefer to hear. In marketing, the selected music preferences has been widely studied and used to influence the purchaser decision. Sometimes the song that we listen, that we hear in the shopping mall, in the runway, uh, will affect the way that we behave and affects the way that we purchase. A more quicker momentum of the music let us more energetic, or maybe a very slow music will make us sleepy and then feel less likely to buy. Okay, these are the examples that they use in our daily life. In education, the study of music preferences yield insights in promoting a more favorable lesson through the design on teaching material songs, beside of the steering of the direction for future study through predictive suitability and efficiency in instructional design. In education, the power of music is so huge. It affects our learning in languages, in mathematics, in spatial cognition, and also intelligence as well. The problem statement in this study would like to address includes the lack of empirical studies on musical preferences for our primary student. And the second one is no empirical study conducted in Malaysian setting, especially in a Chinese national school. Literature review shows that extensive research has been done in uncover musical preferences worldwide among teenagers through adulthood. However, there were lack of empirical study that focus on the age group of 10 to 12 years old. And the limited study in a local context due to the nature of different musical preference, musical exposure, musical profiles. Mini 2002 Music preferences for secondary students state that students prefer popular music comparable to ethnic music. This study was done in the secondary school in Malaysia. Joshua 2008 Music preferences among music degree students in UITM shows female have a high preference rating for musical style compared to male. This was done in a university level. How about primary? Where is the study that done in the primary? No empirical study has been conducted in primary school setting in Malaysia, and hence are unable to identify if the student prefer one genre more likely than the other. And is it true that it is same, the trend is the same as what have been done in the study in other contexts? There were lack of data to clarify the correlation of musical preferences among primary school students in different cohorts. Research question: what is the musical preferences of year 4, 5, and 6 students in a Malaysian primary school? Does musical preference of year 4, 5, and 6 correlates or differs in each cohort? The objective of this study is to identify musical preferences of year 4, 5, and 6 students in a Malaysian primary school. And the second one is to identify the correlation of musical preferences in each cohort. The overview of literature review. Vermeer, 1965, and Albert Liebrandt, 1979, consistently studied music style preferences of different age listener, including primary school listening profile. Yo, 1999 music preferences of undergraduate students in a multi-musical country state that there's little has been published on musical preferences of Malaysian. Joshua 2009 music preference among music degree students in UITM. Peter 2003 and 2011 did a very in-depth study in his journal titled The Do-Re-Mi of Everyday Life. The structure and personality correlates of musical preference and the structure of musical preference, a five-factor model, has extensive study in the relationship between musical preference and the personality, especially the big five personality. Network map of the literature review. From the musical preferences, we can see many study has been done in this area. However, it is still relevant until today. Albert Liban, 1979 and 1981, studied the generic style musical preference of 5th grade students designed to test and refine the theory of the acquisition of music listening preferences, and suggests that gender have effects on person's music listening preference. Tests conducted in the Greater St. Louis area on 278 students. The genre pop posed the highest and the most favorable genre. Albert LeBlanc, 1996 musical style preferences of different age listener has been conducted. Muskie and Tan, 1997, Ang 1998, and Ang et al. 1998. Various Malaysian genres discussed, including ethnic, gamelan, diki balat, ulit mayang, dondang sayang, joget, keroncong, gaza dangdut, Chinese classical, and Indian classical. This genre hasn't been studied and hasn't been conducted locally. Arnett, 1992, Cartel, 1953, Cartel and Saunders, 1954, Little Zuckerman, 1986, McCall, Kaiser, Mulhern, Williamson, 1997. Study the musical preference which links to personality. Gowan, Smith and Bloom, 1987, Negmara Ballad, 1999, Oyama, 1983, Ryder, 1985. Study the musical preference which links to psychological arousal. Crozier, 1998, North Hengries, 1999. Study the musical preference links to social identity. Bosa, 2020, reported that Brazilian preferences and consumption patterns are linked to class, age, and local genre exposure. Durgesh, 2016, reported that boys tend to listen to devotional and cultural songs more than girls in Lucknow campus in India. Pablo, 220, students' musical preferences are complex constructs that help them build their identity. The methodology in this study is a preliminary investigation in a school that has been conducted to determine the suitability of instrument in Malaysian contexts, the reliability of audio profile matching genre listed in the instrument, the refinement of the research data and conduct process, the feasibilities of conducting the current research in a larger scale. This study employed the instrument short test of musical preference, which is mentioned STOMPR, developed by Renfrew and Gosling, 2003. The procedure. Consent for the research has been obtained through school principal. Students were given a clear instruction about the survey on how to fill the 4-man questionnaire. A total of 23 genres with 30 seconds of excerpt were played during the music lesson. 3 classes each year, Year 4, 5, and 6 were tasked to rate between a scale of 1 to 7 after finish listening to the excerpt given. Class end with thank you. SPSS analysis were conducted on the data collected. Result for the question 1. What are the musical preferences of Year 4, 5, and 6 students in Malaysian primary school? We can see from this chart, the light blue represent Year 4, and then dark blue represent Year 5, and orange represent Year 6. And from the mean score of 1 to 7, the highest agree is the 7, and the least agree or not agree is 1. So we can see most of the students from Year 4, Year 5, and 6 prefer pop, which is similar to what have been reported over the years, and followed by the second one, which is dance and electronic, and the third one would be the soul and R&B. It's more like co-current and modern genre. And the least preference one, which is the ones that they don't prefer, includes blues, bluegrass, and opera. From the 3 groups, we can see it's quite consistent, except for certain genre, which is such as the folk music. Year 6 doesn't like it, but Year 4 quite like it. And from the graph, you can see here, jazz music. Year 4 quite don't understand about jazz. Maybe it's quite complex for them. But Year 5 they felt okay, and Year 6 they shows that they also less likely to like that genre. Let's see more about this data. The question number 2. Does music preferences of the Year 4, 5, and 6 correlates or differs in each cohort? Which means that if Year 4 they like this genre, is it possible for the Year 5 and Year 6 like it as well? Let's see. The positive correlation has been categorized, and negative correlation means that it is not consistent among the cohort. That means the 3 cohort has different tastes. But for the alternative, bluegrass, blues, classical, country, dance, electronica, funk, heavy metal, world, new age, oldies, rap, hip hop, reggae, rock, slow, R&B, soundtrack, they have a positive correlation. That means the 3 cohorts has the same likeliness to either like it or don't like it. However, the folk, gospel, jazz, opera, pop, punk, and religious has a big difference gap among the cohorts. Conclusion and discussion. For the preferences, pop, soul, R&B, and dance and electronic are preferred by the students of Year 4, 5, and 6. Blues, operas, and bluegrass are the least preferred by the students. That means they don't like it. Groups, Year 4, 5, and 6 students possess a similar pattern in preferences in music. For the future research, I would recommend that the instrument may include more localized genre for future investigations, such as the one that have been mentioned, like gamelan's music, etc. Different excerpts of genre may provide further validation to current research. Further study can be conducted in different locations, such as the urban school, suburban school, or rural school, even in national school or vernacular school. Thank you very much.